Thanks for staying with us. Join us on this segment is Mr. Akin Fadeyi, the founder of Akin Fadeyi Foundation, AFF. It's a communication organization that leverages technology towards the goal of social accountability in Nigeria. He'll be speaking on the plight of women, empowerment of women, good governance, and women inclusion ahead of the 2023 general elections. Welcome to the show, sir. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you on. So tell us, I know we've been discussing this issue of women inclusion, empowerment for many years. Recently, when the gender-based law was thrown out by the National Assembly, there was lots of uproar in the country concerning this. In your view, have we done enough to empower women and to include them in good governance?
Thank you very much. Very good question. I do think that we can never do enough, but we've made a modest contribution to this space. Let me start by saying that our problems are more complex than doing enough or not doing enough. And it starts with the patriarchal hegemony under which we're enslaved as a people. Just take your mind for a moment to when babies are born by parents in our part of the world. You find out that oftentimes men have said, "Kilo B." I'll translate that to, what did your wife give birth to? Oh, I have a baby girl. And you found men hissing, literally. But when they say, "Oh, I got a baby boy," you find our father saying, "Oh, Akologi, don't be." Let me translate that to, only the valiant give birth to males. Now, you find others saying, "Oh, it's a baby girl," Owero. Owero means it's a softer approach. If you break down the synonyms of that, it means it's a weaker approach. It's a laxer approach. So, oftentimes, male kids have been applauded more than females. And it means we've conflated the importance of having a child with that jaundiced perception of male gender supremacy. And that defined why girls have been molded to have that soft, domesticated impression of themselves, while men are described as aggressive, bold, and assertive. And this is what they take into adulthood. This is what they take. This is what they mainstream as a non-culture that enters the governance space. And then you now find out that today, to the shame and embarrassment of the world, we've had, since 1999, we've had House of Reps. When you count 360 House of Reps members, you barely count 6 women. When you count 109 senators, you barely count 3 women. In this country, we've produced women leaders in businesses. I mean, within the corporate sector. We've produced women leaders in medicine. We produce women leaders across professional boards. But once it comes to governance, where are women? We don't find them.
Exactly.
So what we've done, so to your question, have we done enough? Right from when the Corruption Not in My Country project began, which has been the driving force behind us, which we've scaled up and evolved into this project, for which I digress to say a big thank you to TVC and Murayo seated on this call for all the support you guys gave us when we launched Corruption Not in My Country in 2016. I think you guys should give yourself a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Right. I mean, because you stood behind us. It was novel then. It was very new, but you stood behind us. And when we got onto this project, we landed a lot of insights. Who are those? Quickly, we are quick to point accusing fingers at government.
Okay, let me get a few more questions in for you. Sure.
I want to, I hear your premise. You know, you established this history that we have, sad as it used to be. I believe that we're moving away from that a bit. And maybe because of the prevalence of the age difference, this generation that experienced this are the ones that are meant to be leading right now, and they are not stepping up. My question is, how do we begin to change and change the mindsets of women who are already at the age of leadership to get into it, to get more involved in government as opposed to just their usual hustle of entrepreneurship and the corporate world?
I want to disagree with you, if you allow me. I'm always very, very shy to assume that, oh, women have been hustling around entrepreneurship. Oh, they don't want to get into governance. It will strike me like we're sparing the offenders, but we're blaming the victim. Have you thought for a moment, how can women actually cope within our political space as currently configured? Violence always perforates our political space. I monitored Osun election, and I saw results that were rejected because gunmen went to a polling booth to shoot someone, to shoot a copper. I saw a lot of vote buying. So think about violence, 1. 2, I insist that we've orchestrated a deliberate gender bias. Number 3, I insist that we've designed our political space to be so extortionate that you begin to ask yourself, how can women even afford this? You ask a woman who labors to take care of her children to bring 100 million to the table just so she can aspire to lead our nation. How does that work? And how do you expect women to hit this ceiling, to shatter this glass, when even our legislative assembly have constituted themselves into the clog in the wheel of progression to political leadership? March 8, 2022, House of Reps threw out the bill that was put in place to ensure gender equity in power distribution. It's not even gender equity. It was 35% affirmation action, right? House of Reps threw it out. And so we said, oh, women, stop hustling after entrepreneurship. Stop hustling after XYZ. Come into the space. Come and struggle for power. What can they do? When even the lawmakers in this land are making it difficult, are choking the space.
Yeah. Go ahead, PC.
Yes, so I'm happy that a man is the one speaking up for women.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing because what we see most of the time is that women are the ones trying to fight their fight. And they usually hit a roadblock because the mindset of the men is that they are more important. It's a long history, which you have already established in the beginning. How do you think, in order for women to rise, how do we begin, or how do men begin to accept that, first of all, they are equal with women? I think we have to start from there.
I think the very first approach, let me start it from how do men begin to think, right? Let's break it down. Let's be very, very simple about this. Men should remember, for starters, that to determine the gender of a child, you can only do so by ultrasound scan, and you will not get the real gender of the fetus until after 18 or 21 weeks. When you've now done this, you will now discover, oh, I'm expecting a baby boy. In the olden days, I'm sure, in the days of our fathers or our forefathers, I'm not even sure they had ultrasound scan. They just wait, right? Now, the fetus that gives you a boy happened because you, as the man, released Y chromosomes, and it mixes with the X chromosomes of your wife or your partner. This means if you did not release Y chromosomes, you are coming with a baby girl. So how come you start harassing your wife for giving you a baby girl? So men should first understand the science or the biological science behind the art of procreation. And therefore, the men, because it's not all men, some men are strong advocates of gender equality. Yeah. But the men who delude in the arrogance of, oh, I gave birth to a baby boy, should stop it. Okay. They don't determine that. Number two, we should begin to understand now that fairness, equality, and justice are the foundations of human rights. Yeah. And women deserve a right. Number three, we should accept in humility that gender inclusion in decision-making or in the framing of politics over time has ensured safer and healthier communities. Let's take our mind back to when the COVID pandemic ravaged the world. Quickly remember the nations that were leading in close to zero mortality during COVID. One of those nations was New Zealand. Who is the leader of New Zealand? Jacinda Ardern, a 42-year-old lady. And think for a moment, New Zealand has 5,122,000 citizens, population. But it's a $45 billion economy. In New Zealand dollars, it's 62 billion.
Right.
Now, look at Lithuania. It's a woman that's their prime minister. Their economy is 55 billion GDP. That's a nation of 2.something million people. What happened to the nations where men have ruled? And I'm not saying lead. The United States was led by Donald Trump. It grossed 1 million deaths. UK, led by Boris Johnson, they were dying in droves. So we need to understand that women come with this emotional intelligence to lead and the capacity. Yeah. Naturally, women can multitask. Women, let's make it softer. Men sit at home. Once in a while, when I want to relax, I watch Nigerian home videos. There are times I pick sense from it. And I will see Nigerian men say, woman, where's my food?
Okay, so I don't know which video to watch, but let me put you on hold for a second because we have very little time. I want to ask a few more questions from you. Go ahead.
So let's quickly talk about what your foundation is doing to promote women inclusiveness in governance. Yes.
Thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to say that our foundation would not have been able to do anything if we didn't enjoy the privilege of capacity strengthening from MacArthur Foundation. And they've done a whole lot in this country. And they've strengthened our capacity to shape narratives for the reduction of socialization by parents, girls and boys, by parents who try to frame boys and girls into traditional gender roles. They've strengthened our capacity to confront gender stereotyping by the news media. And we keep working to increase public consciousness for the consequence of rape and sexual assault. In the whole world, WHO statistics says that 1 in 3 women are raped around the world. When you look at the population of the world, that's 736 million people. Women. And did they get justice? No. So what we've done, we designed Flag It app. And with that Flag It app, all you need to do is to just download it. Go on Google Play Store or iOS, download Flag It app. Domestic violence, rape issue, whatever it is, just report. As we are seeing your report, authorities that we've partnered with are seeing it in real time. I'll tell you what, 2020, while the whole world was on lockdown, some students of Afe Babalola University, men, constituted themselves into a WhatsApp group. And all they do, they design an approach to get girls to befriend them. They secure the trust of the girls, and then they exchange nude, explicit pictures. And a few weeks later, they tell the girls, 200,000 or your pictures end up on Instagram. One of the bold girls who was close to suicide reported on our Flagit app. And immediately, we tried to break their wall. We couldn't. So I quickly reached out to the governor of, the wife of the governor of Ekiti State, Her Excellency Mrs. Fayemi, to say this is happening at the Afe Babalola University. Right under your watch, madam. How can we help? And she made calls. The Commissioner of Police, everybody, we worked with interagencies. Right. And October 25th, 2020, we got the boys arrested, led by their kingpin. Right. And they are facing prosecution. Yeah. So we've been working to defend women's rights. We've been working to raise the voice of women. Our employment at the Akin Fadeyi Foundation, MacArthur insists must be gender balanced. It's 50-50. Right.
And because of timing, sir, I have to, I want you to mention the video, because I know that Mariam has been telling us, reminding us to do a video where a woman puts up a video that what she's going to do if she becomes president. Could you tell us about that before we wrap up?
Great. It's a competition we created as a fallout of the political primaries. APC, PDP, all put, I mean, their primaries have been male-dominated. Presidency for men. Even Peter Obi, who we say is progressive, sent a man's name as placeholder to INEC. So again, women are excluded. So we created What Women Can Do competition. And all you need to do is this. In 2 minutes, make a pitch of yourself. If I am Nigeria's president, XYZ is what I'll do. You could talk about agricultural development, education, healthcare, whatever makes you comfortable. After you've done that, post it on your social media handle, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, tag all your friends, let them like it. Yes. The greatest number of likes, you're shortlisted to the next round. The next round, 10 people will be shortlisted. We'll now give you a topic on corruption, because government administration in Nigeria and around the world have been predatory. It's been corrupt. So we say, speak about corruption. We're going to pick the best 5. Right. And these best 5 are going to win cumulative of gifts in the neighborhood of 3 million naira. Wow. We're just trying to encourage and galvanize the voice action of women, women participation in politics. We've talked and talked and talked. Yeah. Now we need to mobilize. Oh. Let me add, please. Nigerian women should also fight for themselves. Yes. In this case, let's stop stereotyping even ourselves. Yes. Now, I'm not endorsing any candidate on this call, but Funke Akindele declared to be Deputy Governor of Lagos State recently. And I went on social media. The comments were disgraceful. Oh, she just lost a marriage. How can she lead Lagos? What the heck? 2011, 2012, Funke Akindele and I had projects that I engaged her to carry out. All right. Amongst women, I've not seen a more resilient, tenacious, hardworking lady. Okay. Why can't competence drive our leadership? Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akin Fadeyi. We have to wrap up on that because we've run out of time. But thank you very much for sharing with us about the AFF. That's all we can take on the show today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.